Cesar Millan has become famous as the dog whisperer, the man who can tame the most untrainable dogs. But now he's being sued, accused of having a pit bull that bit humans and even killed Queen Latifah's dog.
For years, millions admired Cesar Millan as the calm, confident expert who seemed to understand dogs better than almost anyone else. He transformed frightened pets, inspired struggling owners, and built an extraordinary career that made him a household name. But behind the remarkable success and television fame was a deeply painful story marked by devastating setbacks, personal heartbreak, and life-changing challenges few ever imagined. So, what really happened to the man known as the dog whisperer? And how did tragedy quietly reshape the life behind his famous smile? Cesar's most painful life chapter. In 2010, everything that Cesar had spent years building seemed to fall apart almost overnight. The man who had helped countless people solve problems with their dogs suddenly found himself facing a series of heartbreaking losses that no amount of experience could prepare him for. It was a year that tested his strength, his hope, and even his desire to keep moving forward. The first devastating blow came with the death of Daddy, his legendary pit bull. Daddy was far more than the calm, well-trained dog that millions of viewers admired on television. He had been Cesar's loyal companion since the difficult days before fame, standing by him through years of hard work, uncertainty, and sacrifice. Together, they had built an extraordinary bond based on trust and understanding. When Daddy lost his battle with cancer, Cesar wasn't just saying goodbye to a pet. He was mourning a trusted friend who had shared every stage of his incredible journey. The loss left a deep emptiness that was impossible to ignore. Before he had time to recover from that heartbreak, another painful shock arrived. Only weeks later, his wife, Illusion, told him that she wanted to end their marriage after 16 years together. The news came completely out of the blue. Cesar later admitted that he never saw it coming. Suddenly, the family life that had given him comfort and purpose was falling apart before his eyes. To make matters even more painful, his relationship with his two sons became strained during this difficult period, leaving him feeling isolated from the people he loved most. As the emotional pain continued to grow, financial problems began piling up as well. Cesar realized that while he had devoted nearly all of his attention to helping dogs and filming successful television programs, he had neglected the business side of his growing empire. The financial security he believed he had built wasn't as solid as he had imagined. Bills, responsibilities, and uncertainty added another heavy burden to an already broken heart. The pressure became overwhelming. The man the world saw as calm, confident, and capable of solving difficult problems was now struggling with battles that could not be solved with simple determination. The emotional weight eventually led to a severe personal crisis that required hospitalization, marking the lowest point of his life. Looking back, Cesar has often described 2010 as the darkest chapter he has ever experienced. Yet even in the middle of such overwhelming grief, he refused to let tragedy write the final chapter of his story. Choosing not to rely on medication, he slowly rebuilt himself through exercise, deep self-reflection, and reconnecting with the work that had always given his life meaning. Recovery was neither quick nor easy, but with patience, resilience, and determination, he continued taking one small step forward each day until hope gradually returned. Did Cesar Millan face other challenges afterwards? How was he able to overcome the hurdles? Let's delve into the details of lawsuits, criticism, and the growing debate. The controversies behind Cesar Millan. For years, Cesar Millan stood at the center of the dog training world, admired by millions, but also questioned by many experts. Even while his television shows attracted huge audiences and his success continued to grow, debates about the way he trained dogs became louder. His philosophy of pack leadership, which focused on calm, confident energy and, at times, gentle physical corrections, challenged the growing movement toward reward-based training. As more animal behavior specialists promoted positive reinforcement using treats, praise, and play, many argued that dominance-based methods could increase fear, anxiety, or aggression instead of building trust. The disagreement soon grew into one of the biggest debates in modern dog training, with passionate voices on both sides defending what they believed was best for dogs. The controversy reached a new level in 2016 after an episode of Cesar 911 showed a dog biting a pig during what was intended to be a rehabilitation session. The footage quickly spread online, sparking widespread criticism from viewers, animal welfare advocates, and training professionals. Thousands of people signed petitions demanding action, while the incident attracted significant media attention. Animal control authorities opened an investigation to determine whether any laws had been broken. Although investigators ultimately decided not to file criminal charges, the public scrutiny left a lasting mark on Cesar's image and fueled even more criticism of his training methods. As the public debate intensified, legal troubles added further pressure. Several lawsuits were brought against Cesar and his organizations over the years. One producer claimed that a dog had been injured while staying at Cesar's training center. In another case, a nurse alleged that she had been attacked by a dog connected to his facility. Additional legal claims involving one of Cesar's own dogs generated even more headlines and public discussion. While these lawsuits were eventually settled, resolved, or dismissed without permanently establishing wrongdoing, the constant stream of legal disputes created an ongoing shadow over his reputation and gave critics more reasons to question his approach. Despite the criticism, Cesar has consistently defended his philosophy. He has repeatedly explained that his methods are intended to be practiced with skill, patience, and a deep understanding of canine behavior rather than with force or anger. According to him, recognizing a dog's natural instincts remains the foundation of successful rehabilitation. Over the years, he has also acknowledged that the science of animal behavior continues to evolve and has said that he studies new research and remains willing to learn and adapt. Today, opinions about Cesar Millan remain deeply divided. His supporters point to countless stories of difficult dogs that appeared to improve under his guidance, while critics continue to warn that some of his techniques may carry unnecessary risks. Years after the debates first began, Cesar's work continues to inspire admiration, spark disagreement, and fuel one of the most enduring conversations in the world of dog training. Rumor had it that Cesar was arrested last year, which later turned out to be false. But who could have masterminded the false information? Was Cesar's reputation affected? Let's dive into the details of the 2025 hoax that sped faster than truth. The fake arrest that shocked everyone just when it looked as though Cesar had finally found calmer waters after years of personal and professional challenges. Another unexpected crisis appeared. This time, it did not come from a courtroom, a television controversy, or a real-life incident. Instead, it began online, where false stories travel around the world in a matter of hours. In the early months of 2025, a flood of fake videos suddenly appeared across YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and other social media platforms. These videos boldly claimed that Cesar had been arrested and was facing serious criminal charges, including accusations of animal cruelty. The videos were designed to look convincing. They featured dramatic background music, eye-catching headlines, emotional voiceovers, and edited clips that made the stories seem believable. To someone scrolling through social media, everything looked authentic. Many viewers had little reason to question what they were watching. As a result, the videos spread at an incredible speed, collecting millions of views before anyone had the chance to verify whether the claims were true. The reality, however, was completely different. Cesar had not been arrested. He was continuing his normal life, regularly sharing updates with his followers, attending public events, and carrying on with his work helping dog owners around the world. Independent fact-checkers quickly investigated the claims and confirmed that there were no criminal charges, no police case, and no arrest. The shocking stories were entirely fabricated. created by people who wanted to attract attention, generate clicks, and earn advertising revenue from viral content. Although social media companies eventually began placing warning labels on some of the misleading videos, the correction came far too late for many viewers. Countless people had already watched, believed, and shared the false information. As is often the case online, the original lie reached far more people than the later truth. Many who saw the fake reports never returned to discover that the entire story had been exposed as a hoax. For Cesar, the experience was especially painful. He had spent years rebuilding public confidence after previous controversies, investing time and effort into restoring his reputation. Yet, within only a few days, completely false accusations threatened to undo much of that progress. For someone whose career has always depended on public trust, credibility, and the belief that he treats both dogs and people with care and respect, seeing such damaging lies spread across the internet was deeply upsetting. The episode served as another reminder of how powerful social media has become. In today's digital world, false information can spread faster than facts, and once a damaging rumor takes hold, removing it completely becomes almost impossible. Even when the truth eventually comes out, the shadow of the original accusation often lingers far longer than it should. So, which tragedy seemed to have hit him unawares the most? How did it happen? Let's dig into the details of the huge loss that followed his bad business decisions. Cesar Millan's stunning financial collapse. Cesar Millan seemed to have everything. His hit television show, Dog Whisperer, made him one of the most recognizable dog trainers in the world. Millions of people watched him work with difficult dogs, and his calm approach turned him into a household name. From the outside, it looked like he had reached the very top of success. But behind the fame and popularity, a painful financial crisis was quietly unfolding. Despite the enormous success of his television career, Millan later revealed that he lost an astonishing $10 million because of poor business decisions. While he has never publicly explained every detail of how those losses happened, he admitted that they completely changed his life. Almost overnight, the wealth he had worked so hard to build disappeared. The financial disaster struck around 2010, making an already heartbreaking period even worse. At the time, Millan was dealing with far more than money problems. His personal life had fallen apart following his divorce, and he was also grieving the death of his beloved dog, Daddy, who had been his loyal companion and trusted partner for many years. Losing his family, his closest canine friend, and his financial security, all within a short period, created a storm that few people could imagine enduring. Looking back on those dark days, Millan summed up the experience with painful honesty. At the end of the day, I was left with no money. I was broke, he admitted. For someone whose career appeared so successful from the outside, the confession surprised many fans. It was a reminder that fame and television success do not always guarantee financial stability. As if those setbacks were not enough, Millan soon discovered another shocking truth. The famous title that had made him an international star, the Dog Whisperer, wasn't even legally his. In a later interview on Really Famous with Cara Mayer Robinson, he explained that he believed he would share equal ownership of the Dog Whisperer brand and its rights. Instead, he claimed that the people behind the television show failed to honor their agreement. According to Millan, they acted dishonestly, leaving him without control over the very name that had helped build his career. For many people, losing millions of dollars and the rights to a world-famous brand would have marked the end of their professional journey. But Millan chose a different path. Instead of giving up, he accepted that he had lost everything and began rebuilding from the ground up. He focused on creating a new chapter based on his own vision, experience, and reputation. In the end, what first appeared to be a devastating defeat became an unexpected opportunity. Free from the old brand, Millan slowly rebuilt his career on his own terms, proving that resilience can sometimes grow from life's greatest setbacks. Which tragedy looked more like a betrayal? Why did it feel so? Let's take a look at the tragedy that struck Cesar Millan when things went sour with his producers. The million-dollar battle for profits. For millions of viewers around the world, Cesar Millan became famous as the calm, confident dog trainer who could handle even the most difficult pets. His hit television series, Dog Whisperer, turned him into an international star and earned him the nickname the Dog Whisperer. On screen, he seemed to solve every challenge with patience and skill. Behind the cameras, however, a very different battle was unfolding, one that had nothing to do with dogs and everything to do with money, contracts, and years of courtroom fights. As Dog Whisperer grew into a huge success, disagreements began to surface between Millan and the people behind the show. What should have been a rewarding partnership slowly turned into a bitter legal conflict. At the heart of the dispute were claims that the show's finances had not been handled fairly. Millan's production company, Emery Sumner Productions, accused the show's co-producers, MPH Entertainment, of financial misconduct. According to the lawsuit, the producers had failed to properly account for millions of dollars connected to the show's earnings. The disagreement became so serious that the National Geographic Channel US, which aired the popular series, also sought to become involved, claiming it too had been underpaid by millions. Money was not the only issue driving the conflict. Ownership of Dog Whisperer also became a major point of disagreement. For years, Millan fought to secure what he believed was his rightful share of the show's profits. The legal battle stretched on as both sides argued over contracts and financial arrangements. Eventually, after years of negotiations and court proceedings, Millan achieved an important victory by securing a deal that granted him a 50% share of the show's profits. Many assumed that this agreement would finally bring the long-running dispute to an end. Instead, it opened the door to yet another legal fight. Under the profit-sharing arrangement, Millan had the legal right to review or audit the show's financial records every year to ensure the profits were being calculated correctly. This was an important safeguard designed to guarantee transparency. However, in 2018, when Millan's legal team attempted to carry out one of those audits, they claimed the producers refused to provide access to the necessary financial documents. Without those records, they argued, it was impossible to verify whether the payments were accurate. Believing his contractual rights had been violated, Millan returned to court once again. This time, he sought access to the financial records, along with approximately $1 million in damages and legal fees. The dispute showed that even after achieving worldwide fame, Cesar Millan's toughest challenges were not always with troubled dogs. They were sometimes fought in courtrooms, where trust, business, and millions of dollars were on the line. Where did Cesar's journey begin? How did he rise to become a resilient star? Let's delve into the details of Cesar Millan's humble beginning, with the dream that crossed borders. The incredible rise of Cesar Millan. Cesar Millan's journey began far from the bright lights of Hollywood, in the quiet countryside of Culiacan, Sinaloa, Mexico. Long before he became one of the world's most recognized dog trainers, he was simply a curious young boy with an unusual connection to animals. Growing up on his grandfather's farm, Cesar spent countless hours surrounded by dogs, livestock, and nature. While other children often feared aggressive or unpredictable dogs, Cesar seemed to have the opposite effect on them. The animals relaxed in his presence, followed him without hesitation, and trusted him almost instantly. It was as though he understood a language no one else could hear. His grandfather quickly recognized this remarkable gift and affectionately nicknamed him El Perrero, meaning the dog herder. That simple name would later become the first sign of an extraordinary future. Although Cesar loved life on the farm, he believed a much bigger destiny awaited him beyond the borders of Mexico. Determined to chase that dream, he made one of the boldest decisions of his life in 1990. At only 21 years old, he crossed into the United States illegally, carrying little more than hope, determination, and the clothes he was wearing. The journey marked the beginning of an incredibly difficult chapter. Life in California was far from glamorous. With no money, few opportunities, and almost no English, Cesar struggled just to survive. He sometimes slept beneath freeway overpasses, unsure where his next meal would come from. To earn a living, he cleaned dog kennels and accepted any work he could find. Yet even during those painful days, one thing never changed. Dogs continued to respond to him in a remarkable way. His calm presence, quiet confidence, and natural understanding of their behavior became the one priceless gift that hardship could never take away. Slowly but surely, people around Los Angeles began hearing about the soft-spoken young man who could calm dogs that others had given up on. One satisfied client recommended another, and his reputation spread entirely through word of mouth. After marrying Illusion in 1994, new opportunities appeared, including valuable connections that introduced him to Hollywood clients. Cesar eventually founded his Dog Psychology Center, where he worked with dogs of every breed, size, and temperament. Television producers soon realized they had discovered someone truly unique, a man whose methods seemed almost unbelievable. In 2004, Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan became a global sensation, attracting millions of viewers. Cesar amazed audiences by transforming troubled dogs through calm leadership and understanding their instincts. His teachings extended beyond dog training, inspiring trust, patience, and stronger relationships between people and their pets worldwide. Before tragedy struck, what was success like for Cesar? What was he known for? Let's talk about the details of how Cesar Millan built a television empire on calm and hope. Success before the storm. Success came with incredible speed, transforming Cesar from a little-known dog trainer into one of the most recognized faces in the world of animal behavior. Almost overnight, millions of people welcomed him into their homes through television. His calm voice, relaxed body language, and quiet confidence immediately set him apart from other trainers. Instead of shouting commands or relying on force, Cesar taught that understanding a dog's natural instincts was the key to changing unwanted behavior. His belief was simple yet powerful. When owners become calm, confident leaders, their dogs naturally feel safer and more balanced. Viewers were fascinated because they watched frightened, aggressive, and uncontrollable dogs become calmer within what seemed like minutes. Families who had nearly given up hope suddenly believed they could rebuild their relationships with their pets. Week after week, people tuned in to see another remarkable transformation, and before long, the show became an international sensation. It was broadcast in countries across the globe, introducing countless people to Cesar's unique way of understanding dogs. As his popularity exploded, new opportunities appeared everywhere. Best-selling books shared his training philosophy with an even wider audience. Speaking tours filled large halls with eager listeners who wanted to learn directly from him. Training videos, educational programs, and branded products followed, turning his passion into a thriving business. What had started as one man's dream of helping dogs and their owners had grown into an impressive empire that reached millions. Away from the cameras, Cesar remained just as committed to his mission. His Dog Psychology Center expanded, welcoming more dogs with serious behavioral problems. He also trained aspiring professionals who wanted to carry his methods into their own communities. Throughout it all, one message never changed. There are no bad dogs, only dogs that have been misunderstood or placed in the wrong environment. That hopeful idea touched countless lives because many owners experienced positive changes in their own homes after applying his techniques. To many people, Cesar represented far more than dog training. He became a symbol of patience, compassion, second chances, and the belief that both animals and humans could change for the better. Yet enormous success often brings enormous pressure. Managing a rapidly growing company while filming a hit television series demanded long hours and constant attention. Cesar later admitted that he devoted so much energy to working with dogs and helping families that he didn't always pay enough attention to the business side of his growing empire. Important financial and management decisions were sometimes left in the hands of others. At first, this seemed like a small issue hidden beneath his remarkable success. But as time passed, that overlooked weakness would grow into a serious problem. For the moment, however, the future appeared brighter than ever, and millions believed nothing could slow the remarkable rise of the dog whisperer. What is that incredible thing about Cesar? How is he able to rise from each tragedy? Let's delve into the details of the comeback that proved his message, the incredible rise after falling. No matter how many setbacks came his way, Cesar Millan refused to give up. Every time life knocked him down, he found the strength to stand back up. While many expected his career to fade after years of personal struggles and public criticism, he continued moving forward with determination. He returned to television with fresh programs that introduced his training philosophy to a new generation of dog lovers. At the same time, his influence online grew even larger, attracting millions of followers worldwide who wanted to learn from his experience and hear his inspiring story. In 2025, Cesar expanded his work once again by launching live coaching sessions, allowing fans to interact with him directly, ask questions, and receive practical advice about their pets. He also introduced new pet care products, showing that his passion for helping people and animals remained as strong as ever. These projects proved that, despite everything he had been through, he was still finding new ways to make a positive impact. Away from the spotlight, life also became brighter. His relationship with his sons grew stronger, replacing painful moments with love, understanding, and precious family memories. He found happiness again through remarriage, beginning a fresh chapter filled with hope and stability. One of the greatest gifts of all came when he became a grandfather. That new role filled his life with joy and reminded him that even after the darkest seasons, beautiful blessings can still arrive. Cesar has never hidden the painful chapters of his life. Instead, he has spoken honestly about the emotional struggles he faced, encouraging others not to suffer in silence or lose hope when life becomes overwhelming. He often reminds people that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but an act of courage. By sharing his own journey, he has become living proof that it is possible to recover, heal, and build a better future after even the hardest failures. His life story almost sounds like something from a movie. A young man crossed the border with little more than hope and determination. He built an international empire, watched much of it crumble during personal and financial crises, endured false rumors, harsh criticism, and endless public attention, yet refused to let those experiences define him. Piece by piece, he rebuilt his life and career. People may continue to debate some of Cesar's training methods, especially as animal behavior research continues to evolve. Different experts may reach different conclusions, and healthy discussion is important. Yet the heart of his message still inspires millions. Remain calm, seek to understand behavior before reacting, never stop learning, and always believe in second chances. Cesar Millan's own journey is perhaps the greatest example of that lesson. He lost almost everything, but through resilience, faith, and determination, he proved that it is possible not only to rebuild, but to come back even stronger than before. So, what lesson can be learned from Cesar's life? Beyond training dogs, were his struggles avoidable? Let's dive into the details of what Cesar's story teaches us. The unbreakable spirit of Cesar Millan. Cesar Millan's life is about far more than training dogs. At its heart, it is a story of determination, courage, and the incredible strength to keep moving forward when life seems determined to pull you back. His journey reminds us that even the strongest people face moments of heartbreak, failure, and uncertainty. What truly defines a person is not how many times they fall, but how many times they find the strength to stand up again. Over the years, Cesar has endured challenges that could have ended many careers. He experienced painful personal loss, the breakdown of his marriage, financial setbacks, harsh public criticism, and waves of false rumors that spread rapidly online. At times, it may have seemed as though everything he had built was slipping away. Yet instead of giving up, he chose to keep fighting. Rather than allowing disappointment to define him, he focused on the work that had always given his life purpose, helping dogs and teaching people how to better understand them. His story proves that success is rarely a smooth journey from one achievement to the next. Behind every victory are struggles that few people ever see. There are wrong turns, painful mistakes, sleepless nights, and moments when hope feels distant. Those difficult experiences do not always signal the end of the road. Often, they become the very lessons that prepare someone for an even stronger comeback. Cesar's greatest achievement may not be the television fame or the millions of dog owners he has inspired. It may be his ability to rebuild after everything seemed to fall apart. Step by step, he restored his career, strengthened his personal life, regained confidence, and found peace again. His comeback shows that setbacks do not have to become permanent defeats. Today, in a world where opinions spread in seconds and rumors often travel faster than facts, Cesar's approach offers a refreshing perspective. He encourages patience instead of panic, understanding instead of quick judgment, and hope instead of despair. His message extends far beyond dogs. It reminds people to remain calm in difficult situations, to seek understanding before reacting, and to believe that growth and change are always possible. Whether or not everyone agrees with every method he has used throughout his career, one lesson shines through his personal journey with unmistakable clarity. No challenge is too great to overcome when determination refuses to give up. The story of the dog whisperer is still unfolding. New obstacles will surely appear, just as they always have. But if his past has taught the world anything, it is that Cesar Millan has never allowed storms to have the final word. He continues to move forward with hope, resilience, and an unwavering belief that hard work, perseverance, and second chances can transform even life's darkest chapters into inspiring new beginnings. So, what do you think about Cesar Millan's challenges? Do you really think his resilience paid off? We'd love to hear your opinions in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.